Get your ears wrapped around the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast. All the scoop you need to know from college basketball to the NBA and even March Madness. News of your rising stars. Topics on and off the hardwood. This is the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast.
Welcome to the GSMC Basketball Podcast with your favorite host, Ryan Holloway, presented on and by the GSMC Podcast Network to fulfill all of your podcasting needs. Let me just make something really clear right now. I'm going to make something real clear. First of all, anyone that is out there suffering from this 2018 zombie bird flu, you know I'm sending you all the positive vibes in the world, because the 2018 zombie bird flu is no joke. If that's what Kevin Love had when he left in the first quarter, then so be it. I just beat it, y'all. That's why I wasn't here a couple of days ago to fulfill all of your podcasting needs on Monday. I apologize for that. And hopefully you guys were able to get through some things without me, but I had to recover. It was wild. It was wild. I was seeing dragons, hallucinating. It was crazy. So anyone that is going through that right now, you know, just lay back, get you some tea, eat some bananas. You know what? All that advice, none of it works. Just lay down, because everyone's going to tell you, just drink more fluids. Just drink more juice. Like as though you were eating Tic Tacs and chewing on nails before. Like, drink more juice. Oh, sorry, because I was only drinking gasoline earlier today. Eat more fruit. Oh, perfect, because I was only eating chicken nuggets for the last couple of weeks. So thank you for recommending fruit. No matter what you do, the flu is just going to be, it's just going to run rampant inside of your soul. And you got to just bear with it. You got to weather the storm. And you're going to make it. If you're going through it right now, I promise you're going to be okay. I promise you're going to make it. So it's kind of like when you're outside and it starts raining, you're going to get wet. When you feel it coming on, there's no way to beat it in the beginning. You can't say, "Oh my God, I'm gonna take an emergency." Nope. Oh my God, I'm gonna take one of those things that you take to avoid getting the cold. Nope. Those things you take before to increase your immune system prior. Nope. None of that works. If it gets you, it gets you, and that's just how it's gonna be. If you're somebody that's always getting sick willy-nilly, like one of those people that's always like, "Hey, sorry, man, I'm sick every Friday," I'm not talking to you, because you have something else going on, and it's a little bit different for you. Like if you sick every Friday, you got a common cold every Friday, you need to stop eating chicken nuggets every day. That's different. But if you're somebody like me who probably gets the flu once every 2 years, when it comes on, just let it come on. I try to fight it. It put me down. So, bless up to me, and I'm happy that you guys are happy that I'm alive. And if you're not, then that's really selfish on your part. Today I have for you, as promised, well, I haven't promised you anything yet, but usually I do let you know there's a lot of petty NBA going on. And right now, we do have a good amount of petty NBA. Jason Kidd was fired. And from what I can see of it, it's because the Bucks aren't meeting expectations, which is weird, because the season isn't over yet, and they're probably going to make the playoffs, and they're better than last year, and Jabari Parker's still hurt, and Giannis Antetokounmpo has been hurt. So I find it odd from the fire of the coach, they're not meeting expectations because they're supposed to be better. I don't know. We'll get to that. Also, I'm going to ask you guys whether or not we should blow up the Cavs. Is this something you think that we should do? Because right now things are getting a little wild in Cleveland, but I will have Kevin Love's back because I got its back. I'm gonna tell you guys why. You guys probably already know why. Also, I'm gonna talk to you about these alleged All-Star Game snubs. There's no such thing as All-Star Game snubs. I need y'all to make that. Wait, hold on. Let me rephrase that. There's All-Star Game snubs. There are All-Star Game snubs because there have been in like players in smaller markets, whatever. I've seen that before. And I get it. Some people should make the All-Star team, but sometimes they don't. But that's not a snub. The NBA, here's the thing. I'm going to get into this again later. So I need to give you like a preview right now. The NBA consists of the best players in the world playing basketball. Okay? So what that means is that like everyone in the league is good. Regardless of what you think, the last guy on the Sacramento Kings bench is better than the best person you ever knew playing basketball. So there's a person that you knew playing basketball when you were younger and you're like, oh, that guy's so great. He's the illest. He's outstanding. He scored 30 when he was a sophomore on the varsity team. That guy who you knew right now, that guy who works for UPS, that guy, he couldn't beat the last player on the Kings bench. He couldn't. He just couldn't. So the NBA consists of the best players in the world. That means if you have to pick all-stars and they get voted for by fans, there's a possibility that one of the best players in the world isn't going to make the team. So the All-Star Game snubbed thing, like that always kind of gets me. So I'm going to get into that a little bit later. But for right now, I need to talk about this Cavalier thing with you guys. Are you concerned? Are you? I want to know because first of all, people are saying there's a lot of drama in Cleveland. I want to make something really clear. Apparently, Kevin Love during a massive blowout, Kevin Love didn't play after the first quarter because he was sick. I didn't know that this happened, but he ended up going home. He went home and he went home to go home and finish watching the game at home. That's it. That's what he did. And he didn't go to the game the next day. And then they had a team meeting, and apparently he was called out by his teammates. And, you know, like, I'm not going to say I've ever really been the biggest Kevin Love fan. It's not like it's his fault. He hasn't, what's the word? He hasn't like met or not met my expectations of him. I don't have any expectations of Kevin Love. My problem with Kevin Love is the idea of Kevin Love that's been perpetuated by this Cavaliers trade. Kevin Love was busy minding his own business in Timberwolfville, being in Dove commercials, rocking Banana Republic, just being Kevin Love, being okay, being the love doctor. He was he enjoyed Minnesota from what I could gather, being Professor Double-Double. It's perfectly okay. Then he goes to Cavaliers. Then suddenly they want him to be, I don't know, Larry Bird or something. It's crazy. The expectations for Kevin Love are incredibly high. I'm not exactly sure why. So I haven't really been the biggest fan of him. Not because of him though, just because of the buzz. If that makes sense. You know, like some people think they hate LeBron. They don't hate LeBron. They just hate the buzz. Some people think they hate Drake. They don't hate Drake. They just hate the buzz. So you can have like a dislike of media without disliking someone. I'm teaching you guys that because a lot of people be out here just hating on the block. Like, hey, I hate that guy. No, you don't. You don't hate him. You just hate the buzz. And that's okay. But with all that though, I stand by Kevin Love in this decision because if he left after the first quarter and went home, then that means he was sick. And for people to challenge him in the locker room, hey man, I don't really think you were sick. We didn't see you throw up. Your face wasn't green. Michael Jordan scored 35 points when he had the flu. Like, here, or a football player tells him, you were sick? I played with a broken leg. I mean, but you can't do anything with the flu. Now, I did hear somebody say, if you can breathe, you have to play. Now, do you think that the best bet is to leave after the first? Here's your options. I'm going to give you guys some options as far as the optics go. Here are the optics. In today's NBA, with our media culture and social media and memes and the egregious level of disrespect that we hand people all the time, I want to ask you a question. Do you think it's better to leave in the first quarter and then go home and then not go to the next game, or to stay in the game, play horribly to the point where you get subbed out and just go to the bench and just be leaking sweat, looking disgusting, every camera angle on you. What's wrong with him? What's wrong with him? What's wrong with him? You tell me which one is better. I'm going to give you guys a second to think about that. I'll be right back.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast with your favorite host, Ryan Holloway, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network to fulfill all of your podcasting needs. So did you guys get a chance to think about that? I left you with a couple different options if you were Kevin Love in his situation. For the optics, I was asking you guys what you thought was better. If he decided after the first quarter, like, I can't do this anymore. This isn't going to work. I'm going to go home. I'm going to regroup, and I'll come back another day. To go home, regroup, not play the next game, and then come back and tell your teammates what happened during the meeting, or just attempt to play through it, as they say. Play terribly on the court. Just completely terribly. Completely an amazing amount of just a massive garbage performance. Put that all on the floor, and then, until you get subbed out, sit on the bench, just leaking, looking green, so all the media and everyone can just take your picture and basically flash everywhere. This isn't the same level of like tragedy at all. It's not the same thing. But last year, when Isaiah Thomas went through his incident with his family, for some reason, I guess, like, for some reason, camera people thought it'd be really cool to like have him on video, like crying on the bench. I don't want to see that. I feel like people wanted to show the emotion. I'm not sure why they thought that sold. No one wants to see that. And if you're in that situation, you don't probably want to be exposed like that. Not exposed. It sounds negative, but you don't want those emotions. Nobody wants to be on TV looking like that. Honestly, nobody wants that. So if I'm Kevin Love, I'm like, no, I'm going to go home, because you can't do anything with the flu anyway. Now, again, I know Michael Jordan had 35 with the flu. I get it. All the Jordan heads. But Kevin Love isn't Jordan. Listen, first of all, nobody will even ever say that LeBron is Jordan. So there's no way you're going to tell me that Kevin Love is Jordan. So to expect him to get through this with the flu, I heard someone say, hey, if he can breathe, he can play. No, he can't. He can't. He cannot. Have you had the flu? I want to know, for anyone that's like, he wasn't sick, he should have been able to play. When's the last time you had the flu? And yes, I'm co-signing this as someone that just had yes, because if this was like a year ago, I'd probably be like, anyway, grow up, baby. That's what I probably would have said. Honestly, I can't even front. I cannot. But if, as someone that just went through this, there is no way I could judge that man. I could not. It's impossible. It's impossible. I'm not the one. So, hey, Kevin Love, take all the time you need. And then they had a team meeting where basically he just let everybody know what happened. Now, and then they questioned whether or not he was sick. So this leads me to this. I want to know, I want to know what's going on with the Cavs organization, where either Kevin Love has a reputation of fronting that fronting so hard that he will front about being sick and then leave after the first quarter and then not play the next game, or the level of respect for him is so low that you would accuse him of fronting like that, right? Because that's what happens when we accuse people of lying, right? Like it's either going to be, okay, you're this shady. So like you're this shady. So this level of shadiness matches your character, or I don't respect you, so I don't believe you, right? Like, isn't that what it comes down to? And that's terrible. That's completely terrible. So I don't know what's going on within that, but I can tell you one thing: if that's the case where these guys are getting blown out and this man can't go home for a minute, then something's going on there. So with that, I ask you this. More questions for you Cavs fans or NBA fans or people that just watch LeBron fans. I just have a question for you. If things are that bad there, if they're that bad and the chemistry's that off, are the Cavs going to make it to the finals? Will they? Because I'm not concerned. Like I'm really not. I'm genuinely unbothered by the Cavs situation. I am not. I'm telling you this information so that you have it and you know what's going on. But as far as Ryan Holloway goes, I think they're going to be fine because they're just not a team yet. They're not a team. They keep adding these parts, and they're just not a team. And once the playoffs start, and you can sit in a half court set and like plan for teams, then they'll be fine. Because here's the thing: their defense is terrible. It's really, really bad, and that's okay. I don't like saying really, but that's going to be the best way for me to express how bad their defense is. According to like points allowed per game, they're second worst. The team that allowed the most points per game is the Magic. So as far as points per game goes, like allowed points, they're second worst, which it's not a good stat to be second worst. But I personally feel like I don't really know if that's a fair stat to measure them by, because I don't really know if that really matters. Like how many points you actually allow. I don't really think it makes that big of a difference. And that may sound odd, but I'm going to tell you why. Because they're still in third place. Like they're in third place in points allowed. And when it comes to like people that have scored the most points for the 14th week of the NBA, LeBron is the leader in points scored, like total points in the NBA. Points scored, like for week 14. So, I mean, like, what do you want? I don't like what I feel like with all this talk and all this Cav talk, we forget that they're third place. And when they were when they were like 12th place, we were throwing the baby out with the bathwater. And I hate using that phrase because one, I don't even know who would be silly enough to do that, because it seems like there'd be a large weight differential between the water and the baby in the bathtub. And I feel like you should know, like it's not something that should happen on accident. Also, don't really know where you would be throwing it. Would you be throwing it out of a window? I'm not old enough to remember when people would bathe and throw the water out of the window. I don't even know anyone that's old enough to remember that. I digress. The Cavs are in third place. So right now, when it's all said and done, like right now they play the Pacers. Ooh, the Pacers against the Cavs. Could they beat the Pacers? Yes, because they have LeBron. So it's not really a problem. I'm not concerned about it. One thing that I did find interesting, I've said this about the Lakers several times, and I've made it clear, and this could be true for the Cavs as well. I've honestly, I'll be real. I miss this with the Cavs, but I've said it a lot with the Lakers, even though it's the same thing. The Lakers have talks of firing Luke Walton because apparently they feel like there's a better option out there. There's been talks about Fizdale. I personally feel like kind of the Lakers are like low key being strong armed by LeVar Ball in a way. And in a way, that's what I think, kind of. If they fire Luke Walton, I think it's a bad look, because LeVar Ball originally said Luke Walton can't coach the team, and then you're going to go ahead and fire Luke Walton. I think it's kind of silly. But I've also said that I don't feel like the Laker players are genuinely down to, well, let me go back. LeVar's right. The players don't want to play. But I don't know if it's that they won't want to play for Luke or possibly just put all their heart out for that organization because they don't know what's going to happen soon. Like there's constant talks about bringing someone else to the Lakers, whether it be Paul George, whether it be, I don't know, Carmelo somehow, where they can buy Russell Westbrook out of his $400 billion contract. LeBron, Damian Lillard, anyone who wants to go to the Lakers. I don't know, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar come out of retirement, who knows? But there's constant talk about who's going to go there. So if you, and their salary caps are kind of, not their salary caps, but some of the existing salaries, they have to go. You talk about like Nance Jr., you talk about Randall, who's in a contract year. Some of those guys got to go. So they want to do this rebuild, not really a rebuild, but yeah, I mean a rebuild around BI, Brandon Ingram, and Zoe. So, and Kuzma. So it's like the players are like, well, I'm going to get traded. Like, I'm not that concerned about us making the playoffs and bringing the Lakers back to glory because I'm not going to be here. Because it'd be really cool if the Lakers made the playoffs, right? Because they haven't made the playoffs in what? I don't know, years? It's been years. A long time. A very long time. So, but if you're part of the organization and you know you're going to be there, you'd be like, okay, well, yeah, we got to make the playoffs because I want to be a Laker. I want to be one of the first teams and under the new regime to make it to the playoffs. But if you're not going to be there, it doesn't matter. And I feel like the Cavs players are the same way. The Cavs players are like, well, LeBron may leave. So if LeBron does leave, you guys are going to blow this whole thing up, bring in new people, bring in new players. I'm going to get traded. No one knows what's going to happen over the summer on that team at all. Nobody knows. And I feel like, especially, and the thing that makes the Cavs even worse, not the Cavs worse, but the players other than LeBron, they have the oldest team in the league. Who'd have thought that, right? They have the oldest team in the league when it comes to like Dwayne Wade, J.R. Smith, Shumpert, Crowder, LeBron, Korver, Channing Frye, Tristan Thompson, Isaiah Thomas, all those guys collectively are the oldest team in the league. And I didn't even think that until I didn't think that. How do I say this sentence without sounding ridiculous? All right. When I first heard that, I was like, get out of here. Then I thought about it for 4 seconds. It was like, oh yeah. Oh, you know what? You know what? That team is pretty old. Cause I started trying to think about any other players that like came out in LeBron's draft that were still playing on a team, which would be Chris Bosh is in the league and Dwayne Wade is in the league. And then anyone else in LeBron's draft, I can't think of them. I honestly can't. I don't think, is Darko in the league? No, Darko, that was Carmelo's draft. Wasn't that LeBron's draft? Yeah, it was, because LeBron went first, Darko went second. Yes, absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, I started thinking about, I'm like, okay, well, you know what? If LeBron and Dwayne Wade are both on that team, that would make that team pretty old. Then you got J.R. Smith. Oh, wait, what draft is he? That would make that team pretty old, because I think J.R. Smith is like 2004 draft. You got Shumpert. Those guys are OGs. So they do have the oldest team in the league. So a lot of these guys are like, all right, well, what's going to happen? What's going to happen like next? What are we going forward for? And LeBron won't say anything about where he's going to go at all. So if LeBron won't tell anybody where he's going to go or what his next move is going to be, because, you know, that's private LeBron business. And I don't blame him for that. It would just be difficult to play with someone under those type of circumstances. It honestly would be like working for a small business owner that you know could just close their business at any time. Now, again, you can go find another job, which you probably will. And if you're good at your craft and you're working for a small business owner, yeah, you can find another job, but he's not going to tell you when he's going to close his business. He's like, hey man, you know, next week we're going to shut things down. Really, dude? Really? Oh my God. I mean, it's not his fault. That's just the way he does his business. So as a Cavalier, and as a Cav, and you got to play the Warriors in the finals, are you that gung-ho about going to the finals again just to lose? Or would you rather just not play the extra 20 plus games to get to the finals? I mean, are you kind of going to start mailing it in? I feel like the Cavaliers players might be on the level where they could be compared to the Lakers a little bit, possibly, based on my analysis, when I get back, I'm going to tell you exactly why the Cavs are going to go to the finals. Be right back.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast with your favorite host, Ryan Holloway, presented on and by the GSMC Podcast Network for all of your podcasting needs. As promised, I told you that I was going to tell you guys why the Cavaliers were going to make the finals. And wait, hold on. Did you think they weren't? Because I don't think I need to even convince you. Wait, are you one of those, are you the people that think they're not going to make the finals because they've having some issues? Because it's nothing to worry about. It's really not a big deal. And I can tell you why. Because Derrick Rose is coming back tomorrow night. Now, that may not be a big deal to you. You may be thinking like, well, so what's Derrick Rose going to do? What's he going to do, Ryan? He's not a big deal. Well, when he played his first 7 games with the Cavs, he was averaging 14 points per game. And he's shooting 50% from the field. So once you put him back in the lineup, take a little bit of stress off of Isaiah, who wasn't supposed to be playing anyway, because they are just rehabbing Isaiah still. Just so people know this, he's not 100%. So the Cavs had to take him in a fire sale. And I don't necessarily know if they're getting enough credit for this, because here's the thing. This was a fire sale because Kyrie Irving told them that he didn't want to play there anymore. Now, this wasn't right after the finals. This wasn't before the trade deadline last year. This was August. Like, this just happened. Not just happened. We're in January, but this happened like right before the season. So they got him in a fire sale. So this wasn't, I feel like the Cavs are in a way getting a bad rap for making this trade. Like, oh, we got to see who gets the better end of the trade. No, there is no who got the better end of the trade. Kyrie Irving got the better end of the trade because he said he wanted to be traded, period. Now, if I was the Cavs, would I have traded Kyrie to the Celtics? No, probably not. But they didn't have a choice. They had to get rid of him. They had to. I've heard these different thoughts and theories about how they could have just waited it out and had him sit there and say, no, we're not going to trade you. You have to just wait. But that doesn't work. Like, that doesn't work in basketball. I'm pretty sure it works in football where it's like, hey, I want to be traded. No, we're not going to trade you. Okay. You're one of 53 people. Like, you have to be here. Okay, fine. We're not going to trade you. Whatever. I'm just going to wait then. Okay, wait. Fine. And then you don't get traded. But I think in basketball, it's a little bit different because one player makes such a big difference on the team. And don't get me, don't get me wrong, because I know in football when players request to be traded, it's usually a player that is a big deal. Like, he's a big deal, but he's still only one person. Like, he's still just one. And a whole football organization and the staff, record label, and the crew isn't gonna shift the whole movement of their boat to get rid of you to make you happy. No, they're not gonna do that. But basketball's a little bit different. So they couldn't just sit on Kyrie like, no, you're just gonna wait. You're gonna wait a year, and then we're gonna wait and see what LeBron's gonna do. Then we'll trade you. No. It's not gonna work. So they had to get rid of him. Anyway, I digress. With all that, I say all that to say this: with Derrick Rose coming back, and him being, I'm going to say, an inspirational factor for the Cavs, because I feel like Derrick Rose's whole story eventually is all going to make sense. Like his injuries, him being on the Cavs, this being his third different team, him like at one point being an MVP, averaging 27 per game, going to the Eastern Conference Finals, only to end up losing to the Miami Thrice, to the Heatles, as they called them. His whole story's going to come together, and him being on the Cavs, I feel like he's going to be the glue. He's gonna help all the Cavs realize, yo, bro, we're all here to win. We're all here to do the same thing, baby. We all got to come together. One team, one dream. We all on the same train. We on the wrong track, baby. Get in to fit in. All that talk in that exact same voice, where he's going to make everything better for everybody. So with Derrick Rose coming back, he's going to be the influential factor to go ahead and get the Cavaliers to go to the NBA Finals. And if you don't like that, then I'm not 100% sure what to tell you. With that, I want to talk about, I want to get to something else, because this is very important. Jason Kidd was fired from the Bucks, and I have two things to say about this. There's a couple things that I don't know. Now, I do know the Bucks recently I do know the Bucks got a new GM. But what I think happened is this. I hear this thing often, how when teams get like right. What's the word? Is it right? Is the word I want to say right? I'm going to say, when teams get right, a GM or owner's like, hey, we're up and coming now. We should go and get another coach like right now, immediately. And that way we can go ahead and get over that other hump. Just take that next step over. And they feel they want to do that because they have a new player, or they have a new player. The team has a new look. They want to bring someone else in. The Pelicans did this with Monty Williams. So as soon as the Pelicans got Ant Davis, Anthony Davis is looking good. We need a new coach now. Really? Are you sure? Got rid of that man. Fine. Mark Jackson. Oh, the worst. Hey, the Warriors looking pretty good. They got to get over this hump. We need a new coach. Fired. Get Steve Kerr. So, and now then there's talks again. So there's talks about how they couldn't get over a hump with Mark Jackson, but I feel like it's the same team. And if you look at the analytics numbers behind it, if the team is playing better, I don't know if it's things that Steve Kerr implemented or if the players just got better. I know Steve Kerr was the one that went ahead and had Andre Iguodala like come off the bench, and that makes a big difference. However, the players did get better, but it's hard to measure. Anyway, they had a backup plan. They're like, hey, we're going to go ahead and fire you, but we got Steve Kerr waiting in the wings, which is fine. I guess that's fine. Whatever. And I want to say this happened. I want to say this kind of happened with Spoelstra. Not Spoelstra. Stan Van Gundy. Stan Van Gundy was coaching the Heat, and then they got Shaq, and then Pat Riley was like, hey, I'm going to coach the team now. And then Stan Van Gundy was like, okay. And he had to go away. And Pat Riley coached the team. So I feel like when people feel like they have this team, when they have the team, when they have what's going on, they feel like they can just move someone around. And I don't really know I'm not sure if that's the best idea. Now, it was set, and they fired him, and they don't have like a backup. So it was different. You get rid of Mark Jackson, you bring in Steve Kerr. You get rid of Stan Van Gundy, you bring in Pat Riley. Like I see that. I mean, you fired Jimmy Johnson, you have Barry Switzer, whatever. Like I get it, fine. But if you just fire somebody, you don't even have anybody waiting in the wings. That's when I feel like things are personal. Now, this to me smells a little bit fishy, because why would he be fired for not meeting expectations if the team is 7th and the season isn't over yet and Giannis is hurt? And he didn't even find out like from the ownership. He found out from Giannis that he got fired. So I want to know what else was going on there. From what I've gathered, there were some attitude or relationship issues going on there. And Here's my thing, right? So, and apparently the Bucks don't play very good defense. Why? They're a young team. Maybe they have some growing to do, possibly. But if you look at the Eastern Conference standings, with them being in 7th place right now, please tell me where they should be ranked. Just let me know. Let me know with better coaching where they should be ranked. Let me know. Can you tell me? Can I ask my producer? What do you think? Do you think 7 fits where they're at? Yeah? You agree. All right, cool. So, yeah, I mean, 7, where they're at right now, 7 seems to make sense. But to fire somebody in the middle of a season, I mean, are you trying to tank to get more picks? Like, I don't see why they didn't wait till after the summer to fire this man. I'm just not 100% sure. It's because it's personal. Now, these personal issues, by no means at all am I saying that Jason Kidd's a great coach. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that if you guys brought him in, it is a different GM too. I just mean that to fire someone this way, it must be something personal. I feel the same way with Mark Jackson. I don't feel like Mark Jackson was necessarily fired because Steve Kerr was a better option. From what I gathered, there were personal issues. He felt a particular way about people being around his team at certain times. He didn't want random people in the gym while he was with his team. And he had certain things that he needed to do on the weekend that didn't flow with the team schedule. And same thing with Harbaugh with the Niners. He was fired. Him and the Yorks didn't get along. There were certain things that he wanted around his team that he didn't want. There were certain things he wanted about his team that ownership didn't like about what he wanted within his team. Difference of preferences, if you will. My thing, I say all that to say this. I just want to give everyone a heads up. I'm going to drop some knowledge real quick. There's times when you're going to have to compromise. And there's people that you put in your life to be in charge of particular things, and you have to let them do their job. Now, the Patriots are going to another Super Bowl. Another one. Somehow, some way, they're going to another Super Bowl. I don't understand how they're going to another Super Bowl. I'm not sure how this is possible. I don't know. But they're going to another one. Want to know why? Belichick is the coach and the GM. And then Robert Kraft is the owner, and then Tom Brady is the quarterback. They all have different jobs. And I'm positive these guys do not all agree with each other all the time. Positive. Positive. Bill Belichick told Tom Brady the other day, "Hey, you can't have your trainer guy in here anymore. We don't like him being around here." Tom Brady said, "Okay." They probably fought, square up, put on some gloves, but they're in the Super Bowl. For some reason, they overcome these personal issues to go ahead and win games. I don't think the Phil Jackson thing exists anymore. Somehow, some way, Phil Jackson was able to stay with the Bulls for 8 years and win 6 championships. I mean, like, I'm sure he didn't get along with Michael Jordan in the ownership all the time, but sometimes you gotta know who's in charge of certain stuff. You're not always going to get your way. If you want a winning team and you put someone in charge of your winning team, then I don't necessarily think if their personality is affecting you, if their personality isn't affecting your pockets or you personally, then I don't really know if their personality is something you should be all that caught up in. I don't know. And I don't have any quotes. Maybe there'll be more stuff out later about what he said or whatever, but I don't know. I genuinely believe that this was a personal firing, and it wasn't about them being over the hump, because it seems like you put the assistant intern or whatever in charge of the team now. The team is ranked 7th. You guys aren't even near. It's not even playoff time yet. I don't know. Maybe Jason Kidd has something else lined up, and then he was like, "Hey, can I get out of this? Because I got something else to go do." Who knows? Maybe. I mean, I'd like to believe that, but it doesn't seem like that's the case. And I just think it's saddening because they got a good young team. Giannis seems to really like Jason Kidd, from what I read, and it seems like he was fired unfairly because of personal differences with management or ownership, which is so crazy. Because I believe that it's like, it seems like it's so simple, but it's not. Like, oh, these teams always have to go through coaches, and so-and-so fires so-and-so, and how come they can't find a coach? A lot of it's just relationships, really. It's incredible. I'm going to talk more about relationships when I get back. Talk about Russell Westbrook's relationship with Paul George and how he stood up for him not being picked in the All-Star game. Russell Westbrook is not very happy about it. I'll let you guys know all about that when I come back.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts, past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast with your favorite host, Ryan Holloway, presented on and by the GSMC Podcast Network to fulfill all of your podcasting needs. As promised, I told you guys when I got back, I was going to tell you a little bit about how Russell Westbrook was not very happy that his teammate, Paul George, did not make the All-Star team. Now, let me just so you guys understand, you're aware that Paul George did play for the Pacers last year, right? Okay. He played for the Pacers last year. You're aware that now he plays for OKC, right? Okay. Got it. You're aware that the West is a little bit more stacked than the East when it comes to players. And this is how stacked it is. The West is so stacked that Victor Oladipo, who was part of the trade for Paul George, who has never made an All-Star team, he made the Eastern Conference All-Star team. And Paul George didn't make the Western Conference All-Star team. So that just tells you that if you come over to this conference, to the Western Conference, then things are going to be a little bit harder for you to make it. I personally don't believe in all-star snubs. I don't really think it's possible. Russell Westbrook said he deserves to be on the team. You got 4 guys from one team on the All-Star team, and you got guys that talk about it all the time, so they made the All-Star team. Now, I will agree, having 4 players from one team on the All-Star team, that being the Warriors, it does seem kind of silly, but I'm all for it, because if they're that outstanding, they receive that many votes, then so be it. I'm going to give you guys a rundown of who's on the West team, and then you let me know who you would have replaced with Paul George. Just let me know. Just give me a heads up. Are you guys ready? All right, we got Steph Curry, James Harden, Kevin Durant, Anthony Davis, DeMarcus Cousins, Damian Lillard, Klay Thompson, Jimmy Butler, Russell Westbrook, LaMarcus Aldridge, Draymond Green, Karl Anthony Towns. Now, just can you guys tell me who would be on there? I mean, because it looks like a lot of people that usually make it didn't make it. I mean, not a lot, but I don't see any CP3 on here. And I mean, Paul George is new to the West. You know what else is really interesting? Carmelo Anthony didn't make it, and that may not be a big deal if you're looking at the Western Conference, but he's been an NBA All-Star since 2000. It's his first time he hasn't made it since 2009. So he's always an NBA All-Star, which is interesting because, he's the face of New York, right? Well, he was the face of New York, but then he left. So now he's in the West. So I guess it's interesting how once you leave a market, right? Like once you leave a market and then come to the West. So when it comes to the players individually, the West is a bigger market. But when it comes to it seems like when it comes to the teams, the East is a bigger market. Like there's more history. Other than the Lakers, it seems like when it comes to significance of what's reported upon, the East is the most relevant, right? But when it comes to individual players, you come in the West and it's like, oh wow, they have a Blake Griffin that didn't even make the All-Star team. And yeah, Blake Griffin's hurt, but I mean, still, Blake Griffin. No, he's not hurt anymore. Yeah, Blake Griffin's usually the guy. He didn't even make it. When it comes to the Eastern Conference, let me just tell you guys a couple people that, I mean, let's not be disrespectful. I'm going to read a couple names to you. Victor Oladipo, Kyle Lowry, Kevin Love. I'm not saying that Paul George would have taken one of their places, but it's highly possible that maybe he would have. LeBron James says that he's really excited about the way the whole team is set up this year because it's set up for it to be a little more competitive. In case you guys didn't know what they did, they have all the starters and they got all the reserves. And Steph Curry and LeBron James are both the captains. They're going to pick teams. They're going to pick players to be on each other's team. So it won't just be all West players on one team. It won't be all East players. They have the reserves, they have the starters picked, and Steph Curry and LeBron are each going to pick. So you may have like Durant playing with LeBron. Durant may play for the East this year, and Giannis may play for the West. Right? That's what's going to happen. So that's going to be pretty outstanding. I'm glad they're trying something new. LeBron said this is the reason they did this format, to make very competitive. The All-Star game hasn't been what it should be the last few years. I'm going to take it upon myself and obviously the rest of the guys to go out there and play the game the right way and compete. Our fans deserve it because the Eastern Conference has lost all three of the last games. 3 of the last matchups. So it hasn't really been the most entertaining thing. So, I give a salute to the NBA for, trying something new, being a little innovative, because you can't have this event all willy-nilly with players knowing that it doesn't matter. That's not fun. It's not fun at all. It's not fun. I'm going to give you guys this day in NBA history. Check this out. So in January 22nd, 2006, guess what happened? Do you know what happened? I'll give you a second to guess. The only reason why I'm going with the 22nd is because for the days that I had to select for you guys, for the days that I was given for what I had to choose from, this had to be acknowledged, and I wasn't going to acknowledge it on the 22nd, so I had to go back a couple days to acknowledge this. Are you guys ready? All right, cool. So this day, 12 years ago, Kobe Bryant scored 81 points in the game in a 122-104 Lakers victory against the Raptors. His point total was a second highest game total in NBA history, behind Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game in 1962. So, with that, I need you to know this. When it comes to like Kobe Bryant breaking records, people will tell you, well, Wilt Chamberlain scored more in the 100-point game than Kobe scored 81. It's less than 100. Kobe didn't break Wilt's record, but Kobe did break Wilt's record. He did break it. He broke Wilt Chamberlain's 73-point record, because at one point, Wilt Chamberlain had 2 records, 100 points and 73 points. But Kobe passed the 73-point record. So when it comes to most points scored in a game, you got 4 people. You got Wilt Chamberlain with 100. You got Kobe Bryant at 81. You have Wilt Chamberlain at 73. You have Devin Booker at 70. And you heard it here first. Devin Booker for the Suns he didn't make the All-Star team either, but he's on the West. So, that's not surprising either. But so Devin Booker will break Kobe Bryant's record. He will break Kobe Bryant's record of 81 points. He will score 82 points eventually. I'm not sure when, but mark my words, he will do it. So hats off to Kobe for scoring 81 points and breaking Wilt Chamberlain's 73-point record. And also hats off to Kobe, because if you watch, I don't know if anyone's seen this, but there's I don't know if it's a documentary. I saw it on NBA TV. I don't know. It's Kobe Bryant watching him play that game when he scored 81, and he's pointing out spots where he felt like he could have had more points. What? Like, he's pointing out spots where he felt like, you know what? I messed up right there. I could have had 100. So I'm not sure what the documentary is, but if you can check it out, please do. Please, because it's something else. It's Kobe talking about himself, obviously. It's great television. But the reason I bring that up is because when you watch Devin Booker's highlight breakdown or whatever, his 70 points included 4 3-pointers. 4. Only 4. So I would say that 82 is highly possible, because it's only 12 more points It's only 4 more threes, or maybe 2 threes and 6 more layups. Who knows? It's 100% doable, but you guys heard it here first. Hopefully that tidbit did a little something for you. I'm sorry I had to go back to the 22nd, but I wasn't here on the 22nd. So I feel like I should bless you guys with that awesome tidbit. That's where we're at right now. I appreciate you joining me for another tremendously great episode of the GSMC Basketball Podcast, presented on and by the GSMC Podcast Network to fulfill all of your podcast needs. Live long, prosper, and watch for potholes.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.